For this Saturday in college football, let's go here. Purdue visits Ohio State, fat number here in Columbus for the Buckeyes, 37.5. Florida visits Texas off by 21.5 for the Longhorns. Minnesota favored on the road in Piscataway. Boston College -1.5 against Syracuse. And Cincinnati -4.5 at home against the Mountaineers of West Virginia.
First of all, that Ohio State-Indiana game is on the 23rd, right? So that means it's the week after the Steelers play the Ravens. So there's like a 2-week window, right? It's a 2-week thing. So they play Michigan this week, and then they wait 2 weeks to play Ohio State. So no matter what, Ohio State must have do they have a week off after they play Purdue?
Ohio State is playing Northwestern at Wrigley Field on Indiana's bye week. So on the 16th.
Indiana has the bye, and that helps them. I hope that Ohio State, I could care less about that 37.5. I'm not getting involved. I hope that in the Purdue and Northwestern games, they mount injuries. I hope they just guys drop like flies. I hope they play at Wrigley Field and the field gets chunked up and they all tear their legs off. Florida, Texas. Texas is going to beat them senseless at Memorial. Rutgers and Minnesota. Minnesota's going to win that game at Rutgers because Rutgers now is officially on the watch list for teams that suck. Syracuse and BC. BC's fallen off a cliff. I like Cuse. West Virginia, Cincinnati. That's a Cincinnati win in Ohio, in the Queen City. Lay the 4.5. West Virginia, hairdryer city.
Next, Iowa State, despite the loss last week, now they need to keep winning so they can get themselves to the Big 12 title game. They're in Lawrence against Kansas, Army and North Texas, Clemson and Virginia Tech, Duke and NC State, Colorado and Texas Tech, also a huge game that they are going to have because Colorado's still in the mix. And by the way, that Iowa State game against Kansas, not in Lawrence because they're redoing the field there. That game's actually at Arrowhead is where they're playing that. So the big field is where they'll be.
It doesn't matter where it is because Kansas is just awful. They have had a nightmare season, and it all started with that stadium. They took them out of Lawrence. They moved them to a soccer field. They were like, what is happening here? And then every game they play, they lose. And every game they play, they don't cover. Iowa State is going to truck them. And I think Army, same thing. At North Texas, in Frisco, they're going to beat their ass. Va-Tech, Clemson. Clemson, oh my God, they look so horrible against Louisville. Are they going to blow it at Lane Stadium against the Hokies? I'll take the points. Duke and NC State. NC State at Raleigh. I thought Duke looked real weak against Miami in that second half. I think Texas Tech upsets Colorado in Lubbock. Enough of all those dreams of Colorado playing in the playoff against Miami.
I'm not done. South Carolina and Vandy, who have both obviously played well so far this year in the SEC. That game is in Nashville, and South Carolina is favored on the road at Vandy.
They're dead.
You have Maryland into Oregon. You have Tennessee against Mississippi State, Arizona State, and UCF, and TCU at home for Oklahoma State. What a miserable year for Gundy and the Cowboys. Miserable.
Look, Vandy doesn't lose at home. They'll cover the number at the worst. They'll win that game outright. Oregon will beat the absolute – I was going to say something horrible right there. Very horrible, I was going to say. That's what they're going to do to Maryland, something very horrible. They will cover that game. Mississippi State, look, Tennessee, I'll bet my life they don't cover the number. They're going to win. They're so overrated, it's not even funny. And Mississippi State stinks. Yet look at their season. They cover games when you think they're not going to. And then – Central Florida at Arizona State. Wow, that's a brutal game. I like Arizona State at home, I guess. And Oklahoma State is falling apart. But I don't know. TCU's been awful as well. I don't know if they can beat them by 11. I really don't. I mean, Sonny Dykes, what has happened down in Fort Worth? TCU should win the game and cover. They should. Oklahoma State's a mess. Gundy's a mess.
And finally, some of the other night games. Washington makes the trip to Happy Valley this week for Penn State, who's laying 12.5. We've got Nevada into Boise, big number there. Pitt laying 7.5 at home against Virginia. Washington State into the rankings this week. 20.5 against Utah State, and late night on the islands, UNLV favored on the road at Hawaii this week.
They will not screw it up on the Big Island. The Rebels will win that game, going away and cover. Washington State's going to smoke Utah State. Pitt's going to take it out on Virginia, losing at SMU. They're going to win and cover. Boise's going to beat the snot out of Nevada. And Penn State, of course, will cover 13 and a hook because they beat all the teams that don't matter. They just can't beat anyone that does. They'll cover in that game in Happy Valley. Everyone will have a big whiteout party. They'll brag about their $110,000 and their great coach that they paid $10 million to. They can't win a game that matters to save his ass.
That's usually what happens. Heisman numbers. I told you I'd give you these to you today as well. Travis Hunter, of course, is at the top, but just his numbers overall. He's gone from 35 to 18, plus 250, now 2-1. 31% of the money. The most is on Hunter to win the award. As you see, it has become a three-man race between Hunter, Cam Ward, and Dillon Gabriel, as Genty is kind of, he's still there, but he has slipped a little bit off of those Heisman numbers that you will see there. So it's kind of where it's at right now. There they are for you. Cam Ward, Hunter, both at 185. Gabriel right there, and Genty at 5. Everyone else is finished. Rourke is 5th. He's 20-1.
Look, I don't deny that Travis Hunter is going to be a high draft pick in the NFL, and he's got all the options in the world staring him in the face. Playing receiver, playing corner, he can do it all. He is an incredible athlete. But no way will I ever agree that what he's doing at Colorado this year is better than Cam Ward. I'll tell you why. The kid Restrepo at Miami has better numbers than Travis Hunter. Better numbers flat out than Travis Hunter. And he doesn't even get mentioned for a Heisman. He's the all-time leading receiver in Miami history. He has way better numbers than Travis Hunter. Cam Ward is the Heisman winner. Every single week he puts up gigantic numbers.